Hey everyone, welcome to The Jazz Scene, giving you an in-depth look at the music and stories of the musicians performing on our stages here in Columbus. So today we are joined by the artistic director of the Columbus Jazz Orchestra, Byron Stripling, who joins us after having done one Columbus Jazz Orchestra show of the 16-17 season, and we are sort of forging ahead into a number of really great events to finish out 2016. Welcome, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, and I want everybody to know it's Election Day, and I've already voted 3 times.
Oh, wow. Forging some signatures here. That's great. So we just started the season in October with New Orleans on Parade, Jamison Ross, Evan Christopher as our guest artists, and of course the Columbus Jazz Orchestra. And so far, the response has been really wonderful. A lot of people say that the show had the perfect mix of guest artists, talent, and energy, and the band was on fire. Did you feel that on stage? And what kind of goes into a show that kind of gets that acclaim, or maybe all the shows that we program? Because it really felt like there was a great energy with this first one.
Well, I think, when you walk into a theater and somebody says you're going to see some music from New Orleans, there's automatically an energy that happens. One of the reasons we love that theme is because New Orleans, to me, is the sound of America. It's the sound of Louis Armstrong, as I mentioned, Sidney Bechet and Jelly Roll Morton. And just that feeling, that energy of those people lifts you up. You put that with the talented musicians of the Columbus Jazz Orchestra. I mean, and I hate to single people out, but look, when you have like Michael Cox, you have Pete Mills, you got Jim Masters, you got Jim Powell, Dwight Adams, of course you got Bobby Floyd, you got Bob Brightop, Chris Berg. When you put all that together and you shake it up, and then you add like New Orleans, you add some blues, you add some of the, we start the concert with almost like this funeral dirge, and then you have that Bourbon Street Parade. All those things go into to making it a special event. So here's the little carrot I'll dangle in front of everybody's head. That was such a successful concert, and people really enjoyed it, that the carrot is we're probably going to do something similar again next season, because you guys liked it so much, because we always like to listen to our audience. And so maybe we'll get a couple drummers up there, and there's a guy I haven't called anybody, so I won't mention anybody's name, but there's a couple of New Orleans drummers, man, that would be really cool that could just make that happen.
Right, and there's an energy when you have musicians, and of course the entire band being jazz musicians at the forefront. They understand the tradition of jazz in New Orleans sort of being sort of tied together, obviously, that when you're able to put a production together that has this New Orleans music, you really feel that the origins of the music, and that the lineage, and how it plays into the blues, and how it plays into what became the big band model, and so it doesn't feel it feels like the band is right at home. And especially when you have like Evan Christopher, Jamison Ross, these are guys that their careers have taken them to New Orleans, and they talked about during the offstage that when you go to New Orleans, the first thing you realize is that anything you've tried to do with your studies to become a musician and learn how to play the music of so-and-so and such, nobody cares. They want you to be you. And I think that comes through when you play this music, is this, you sound like you, and whether you're talking about the band or it kind of has this personal feel to it to cover that music.
I remember when I played with Louis Armstrong's bass player for many years. His name was Arvell Shaw. And my first gig, he pulled me aside and said, "Don't worry about playing like Louis." And I was like, well, that's weird. And his band was called Louis Armstrong Legacy Band. It was just a selling point. He said, when you play, just be you. Just play your thing. Clarinet player, do your thing. And so that's actually what we try to do on this concert. It's like, if it's going to be jazz, it's not going to be like, hey, let's play transcriptions of old things. It's like, when it comes time for the solo, just be you. And so I hope people felt that. So thanks for asking. We've had great response for that concert. Yeah,
and it was a wonderful show. And we kind of turn ahead to this kind of marathon race to the end of the season. And the next thing on the calendar is this thing, One Night Only, the JAG annual fundraiser for our organization. For those of you out there that may not know this, Jazz Arts Group not only has the Columbus Jazz Orchestra as its flagship performing ensemble, but all this educational outreach and sort of connecting the essence and magic of the music in a number of different ways. And so you'll be a key part of that, obviously. But it has a little twist this year. We're doing a theme for the first time, which is a Cuban theme. And we're bringing in this pianist, Aldo Lopez Gavilan, who is somebody that you worked with in Cuba last May. So tell us a little bit about Aldo and the event.
Well, so we decided to make him a part of it because he's such a charismatic young man who's a guy that was born in Cuba with very few resources. So, as we were in Cuba last year, we went to the music school there. All the pianos were in horrible condition. You'd play a key and nothing would come out, or it'd be extremely out of tune, or the strings would be broken. No really good practice room, so kids would practice outside. But then I have to just sort of flip that, Zach, and tell you that the musicians were amazing. So I did a trumpet master class. And I do this thing usually when I go to master class where I'll have kids match notes with me. I say, play this. I'm going to play a note. You play it back. And usually nobody can really do it. It's kind of like jive. They just nailed it. Right. I mean, it's like, okay, it's going to be like that.
Yeah. Right.
So it's like I had to go to my advanced stuff right away.
Wow.
So I don't think it's a matter of what resources you have. This is what I learned in Cuba. It's your resourcefulness. What do you take with what you have? I mean, like those guys didn't have valve oil. So I gave everybody that played for me, I gave them a bottle of valve oil. Because they didn't have it, but that doesn't stop them from practicing.
Right.
So even if you don't have a good horn, if you don't have the latest method books, which by the way, I bought those little sticks. What are they called that you stick in a computer?
Like
jump
a USB drive. Yeah, jump drive. Yeah.
I brought a jump drive, and I brought about 5 or 6 of them, and they had trumpet methods, all the best trumpet methods on there. So because everybody doesn't necessarily have a computer, but if they find one, they can take that and they can print off their own book.
Right.
So they have access to, because Arturo Sandoval had told me, hey, there was one Arbenz book in Cuba.
Oh my God!
And we all traded it. He goes, and then when I got mine, I copied it by hand.
Wow!
Do you see, like
the Arbenz book being like the standard trumpet method with
like
etudes
the Bible,
and like the Bible of trumpet playing. Yeah, wow.
Yeah, so he said he copied his by hand when they passed it on to him, and then he gives it to the next guy. So that's what you do if you don't have an Arbenz book. You don't complain that you don't have one. When you get it, you memorize it, and then you try to copy it down.
Sure.
So Aldo Lopez Gavilan is a guy that did that. He went to that school.
Wow.
He was so good that he went and did an audition in England, and he was accepted to, I can't remember which school in England, but it was a music school, and they gave him a full scholarship. And they paid his flight back and forth. And he's like just this charismatic, beautiful guy. And, I'll just say, I'm excited for people to see him. We wanted everybody to experience the taste of what we did in Cuba. And so he's going to come and you'll be able to hear his music and what he's been able to do with limited resources. It'll inspire you. But I think imbued within him is the feeling of what Cuba's all about. And I have to say, it's not because it's this country with beautiful, amazing architecture, which is a little bit of that, and it's got rolling hills and all that. No, I think the beauty of Cuba is the people.
Oh, yeah.
So I would go, and after any interaction with anybody, at the end of that, I got a big hug.
Right.
It's like, okay, now we're family.
Right.
Because their whole thing is like, well, all we have is each other.
Right.
I mean, these people are only making $20 a month. So if you can't depend upon your friendship, then you're screwed.
Yeah. And I can say musically, we're going to have the opportunity to feature one of our youth jazz groups in the first hour of this event, held over at Notes and Copious, actually on the top level of the new club over there. And the youth jazz group that we've been rehearsing on Sundays doing this music, it's just sort of blowing their mind, this whole concept of what Cuban music has, even when it's Latin jazz. Like you're playing tunes that are more in the jazz world just as much as they are Cuban music, but this rhythmic magic, in this sort of rhythmic feel. You're seeing these high school kids trying to play this music and sounding really great, but kind of seeing, I can't just do what I do on this swing tune rhythmically in the way I play it, and it just opens their eyes. So to be able to share that with our students, I think has just as much of an impact.
I agree.
That they're now trying to play this music, and it's really fun. I mean, it makes you want to move. How can you not kind of physically interact with this music when you're doing it?
I think there's something when you come from that kind of a culture and the sunshine there and that feeling there, Cuba gives you a different kind of music. Right. For me, the biggest lesson of working, every day I would rehearse with those guys because we gave a concert towards the end. And I was like, let me show these guys a little American jazz. It actually was the reverse. They showed me. Yep. I had trouble playing their music.
Right.
And I was really nervous.
Yeah.
Because it's like, Aldo gave me his music and we'll play a little bit of that. It's like, okay, we're playing this. Okay, let's go. And he stomped it off. I'm like, ooh, I'm used to a little bit of blues and some Charlie Parker and some Dizzy and some Miles. And they've got their own thing in there, and they're playing these weird rhythms behind me. And I had to stomp my foot a little bit. Yeah. So I'm excited. Everybody will get to experience that. And I just want to let you know that then everybody will get a chance to bid on a trip to go to Cuba.
Really?
With us, yeah. So they'll get to bid on that, and then they'll also get to bid on a trip to go to Vail, Colorado.
So what's in Vail, Colorado?
The Vail Jazz Festival, and so the people in attendance that we just hooked this up is John Clayton, Jeff Hamilton, Jeff Clayton, the Jeff Hamilton Trio. Usually Russell Malone is there. Just a lot of the people you've seen here. Wycliffe will be there. I usually give a big lecture there one time during the thing, but it's a multimedia lecture with musicians.
Right.
Last year I did the blues, and I had Bobby Floyd with me, and he might be back this year. I don't know. Lewis Nash played for me, and I think John Clayton. So people have a chance I'll just say that it's your chance to really help Jazz Arts Group in an amazing way. And if you want to support us in the most amazing way possible, come to one night only.
Yeah, and these opportunities, Cuba and Vail, and it just kind of shows how much this music extends in all directions, you know, and that JAG is a centerpiece in some of that activity.
It is, yes.
And it's just fun to do all this stuff and to get to travel and see how the jazz world is so tightly connected. So that's a really great thing. And so after One Night Only, which is just next Friday, we go right into another Columbus Jazz Orchestra concert with Home for the Holidays. And I looked it up, and it seems like we've been doing holiday shows for like 14 years, 15 years.
Yeah.
It's some with different themes, but really it seems as if Home for the Holidays has become sort of one of the Columbus holiday traditions. You know, you have the Nutcracker and everybody goes to that, and you have the State Auto tree lighting, and you have the State House tree lighting. And Home for the Holidays seems like it's right up there. Tell us a little bit about maybe that as a theme. Is that something as an artistic director and as a band that you really get excited about to take on this holiday music in a jazz way? And what can we expect with this year's program?
Well, for me, and to your point, we did this. We started this concert, Home for the Holidays, and I didn't want to do it. And our executive director at the time, Bob Breithaupt, really pushed me because I'm like, man, corny Christmas show. and what I realized is it's up to me not to make it corny.
Right.
It's up to me to not make it like, oh, that again. So one of the things we do, Zach, is we always try to make it different and try to really change it up. The very first year was tough for me because I had a lot of like chatter going in my head, and a bunch of people said, now, you can't do any religious songs. You can only do Frosty the Snowman and Jingle Bells. I'm serious. Like, people were saying this. And so we had a couple Jewish board members and some other people. I said, hey, would you mind if we did Oh Holy Night? Like, would that offend you? And I would get this response, man, that's one of my favorite tunes.
Yeah,
and it's like I got a Jewish guy telling me this. I was like, really? Oh, man, Oh Holy Night. Yeah, I love when they get to that high note.
That top note, yeah.
So I was like, okay, I can do whatever I want. So we started doing that and like Go Tell It on the Mountain. And so it's no holds bars. But I also do, like, in past years, I've done that Jewish tune, Dreidel. And so we cover all, anything's fair game.
Yeah.
So,
including just the festivity of the season. I mean, it's hard to be in Columbus during that time of year and not get excited of just about the aura around everything that's happening, whether it aligns with one or the other. So what can we expect with this year's? Give us a little bit of a hint.
So a couple things. We have a great guest artist. Her name is Carly Thomas Smith, and she's a beautiful young lady. And so I'll let you know that she's going to do a song by Eartha Kitt, and it's called Santa Baby. And I'm just going to give you the lyrics because they are the lyrics, and I'll let the chips fall where they may. But Carly's going to say, come and trim my Christmas tree.
Oh, no.
With some decorations bought from Tiffany, you know. But when she says, come and trim my Christmas tree, a lot of guys, I'm going to ask you to control yourself if you have brought your wife with you.
Right.
Because, it's a great song if you've heard Eartha Kitt do it, because the lyrics are all double entendre, and you can sort of, she's singing one thing, but you're definitely thinking something else.
Sure, of course. Yeah.
Which is a fun thing about a Christmas show. But she'll go from that to I'll Be Home for Christmas.